Alright, this is the Unit 1 review sheet video, 2017 school year. So, if you're in my class, you should be watching this video. If you need to watch it more than once, then watch it more than once. If you only want to watch it for specific questions, that's fine too. But there's no excuses when you come to the test and you look like you've never seen these questions before. Number 1 is a straightforward equation solving. On the left-hand side, you have to do the distributive property first. 4x minus 40 equals 4x plus 15. If you notice, there is a 4x on both sides of the equation. We learned in class that when that happens, there's either going to be no solution or infinitely many solutions. But because one side has a minus 40 and one side has a plus 15, that tells me that this one is going to be no solution. So I can stop there and pick no solution as my answer. Or if I want to continue, I do minus 4x for both sides, and I get negative 40 equals 15, which tells me no solution. Number 2, again, straightforward solving, distributive property with a fraction. You have calculators, so figure out how you're going to do the distributive property with a fraction. We can't help you with that anymore. So 3 over 4 times 4x is 3x. 3 over 4 times minus 8 is minus 6 equals 24. And now it's just a two-step equation. Add 6 to both sides. 3x equals 30. Now divide both sides by 3. X equals 10. 3 and 4 is just asking about the parallel lines cut by a transversal and the angle relationships. So which pair of angles are vertical? Remember, vertical angles are when two lines intersect. They're the angles across from each other. So 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 5 and 8, 6 and 7. Corresponding means in the same position. So that would be angles like angle 1 and angle 5, angle 2 and angle 6, angle 3 and angle 7, and 4 and angle 8. And which pair are alternate interior? Interior angles are the ones in between the parallel lines, so it's 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the alternate ones are 3 and 6, and 4 and 5. And then similarly, alternate exterior, 1 and 8, 2 and 7. Make sure you know all of those relationships as well as supplementary for the test. Number 5, Gym A charges a yearly fee of $100 plus $10 a month. So that's going to be important. Gym B charges a yearly fee of $50 plus $15 a month. How many months? Remember, look for the question. It says how many months, or months is your variable, so I'll call it M. The question tells you what the variable is. How many months? Months is the variable. If I look in the question, anywhere I see the word month, I can put an M next to because I'm going to need a variable. So Gym A is 100 plus 10M. Gym B is 50 plus 15M. And it wants to know when they're going to be the same. So I set them equal. Now I solve. Since there's variables on both sides, I want to deal with the variables first. A lot of you are still dealing with the constants first, and you run into trouble when you get to an equation where you're not sure what to do. So I'm going to move the smaller variable, minus 2m from both sides. 100 equals 50 plus 5m. Now minus 50 from both sides to try to get the variable by itself. 50 equals 5m. Divide both sides by 5. M equals 10 months. Number 6, you need to find all the missing angles. So they give you an exterior angle, that's 120 degrees. You know that an exterior angle and the angle next to it form a straight line. You can tell by drawing that semicircle and seeing that they're on a straight line, which means they add up to 180. So 180 minus 120 equals 60. So x equals 60 degrees. And then once you know that x is 60 degrees, you know that the three angles in a triangle all have to add up to 180. 70 plus 60 is 130. 180 minus 130 is 50. So y equals 50 degrees. You also could have known the rule that an exterior angle equals the sum of the two non-adjacent interior angles. So 120 equals y plus 70. So y has to be 50. Number 7, find the measure of angle B. Well, we can see that they give you a 90-degree angle, an angle B. Those look like vertical angles, so B also equals 90 degrees, because vertical angles are congruent. Number 8, car service charges a fee of $10 plus $2 per mile. Remember the word per, each, or every usually tells you that's where the variable goes. John was charged $35 in total for his cab ride. Set up an equation to solve for the amount of total miles John's ride was. So you're solving for the amount of total miles, which means that that's your variable. So anywhere you see the word mile is where your variable goes. So $10 plus $2 per mile equals 35. So that's the equation. Sometimes you'll see it written differently. The first step in solving this equation would be to minus 10 from both sides. So you might see the equation written like this: 2m equals 35 minus 10. It's the same thing. But either way, just solve the equation and get to the answer. So 2m equals 25, m equals 12.5. But the question just said to write an equation. So it's either going to be that or that. Number 9, to solve equations, so distributive property, and then we're going to combine like terms. 5x plus 50. Now this is where you have to be careful. So you have to be careful because it's plus 10, but inside I see a negative sign. So just keep that in mind as you're doing the distributive property. So it's plus 10x minus 20, because positive 10 times negative 2 is a negative, equals 45. Combine like terms, 5x plus 10x is 15x. 50 minus 20 is plus 30, equals 45. Minus 30 from both sides, 15x equals 15. And then divide both sides by 15, x equals 1. And the one next to it, same thing, distributive property. 2 times 3x plus 30. And then be careful, that's a minus 2, so minus 4x minus 6 equals negative 8. Combine my terms, 3x minus 4x is negative 1x, or just negative x. 30 minus 6 is plus 24, equals negative 8. Subtract 24 from both sides, so we get negative x equals negative 32. And since it's a negative x, you can just switch the signs of positive x. So switch negative 32 to positive 32. Number 10, the measure of angle B is 53 degrees. What's the measure of A? Well, I can see that B and A together form a right angle. So 90 minus 53 equals 37 degrees. Okay, in the diagram shown below, line A is parallel to line B, and angle 1 is an obtuse angle. Which mathematical statement cannot be used to show that the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 5? So I'm just going to go through each choice, and I'm assuming in one of the choices there's going to be a mistake. So in choice A, the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2. That's true because they're vertical angles. The measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 5. That's true because they're corresponding angles. So therefore, the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 5. So choice A looks good. There's no mistakes in it. So that's not the answer, because remember, we're looking for the one that is wrong. Choice B, the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3. Yep, looks good. Those are both obtuse angles. They're corresponding. The measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 5, because they're vertical, so that's good too. So choice 2 looks 100% correct. So that is also not the answer. Choice C, measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 2. That's correct. They're vertical. The measure of angle 2 equals measure of angle 3. That's correct. They're alternate interior. The measure of angle 3 equals measure of angle 5. That's correct. They're vertical. On to choice D. The measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 3. That's correct. Here's where we have a problem. The measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 4. That's not true. They do not equal each other. One is a big obtuse angle, one is a little acute angle. So they can't be equal. Also, they're next to each other, they form a straight line, they're supplementary. So choice D has a mistake in it. Number 11, which best describes the solution. When you see that, you're probably looking for the number of solutions. Combine like terms on the left side, 3x plus 11. Combine like terms on the right side, 3x plus 11. We know that that means infinitely many solutions. Number 12, the measure of angle 8 is 83 degrees. What's the measure of angle 2? Well, angle 8 and angle 2 are alternate exterior angles, so angle 2 has to equal the same thing. All right, moving on. Halfway down. Okay, the measure of angle 1 is 4x plus 12. The measure of angle 8 is 12x plus 4. I can see that they are alternate exterior angles. That means that they are equal. So I take these two expressions and set them equal to each other. That's the equation to solve for the missing angles. If I want to actually solve, I minus 4x from both sides. 12 equals 8x plus 4. Minus 4 from both sides. 8 equals 8x. Divide both sides by 8. X equals 1. That's not the angle. That's just what x equals. To find the angle, you have to substitute it into the expression. So 4 times 1 plus 12 equals 16 degrees. 12 times 1 plus 4 equals 16 degrees. Number 14, straightforward solving equation, minus 8 from both sides. 3 over 4x equals 6. Now, however you choose to solve this, you can divide both sides by 3 over 4. If you're going to use your calculator, I usually like to do this in 2 steps. I get rid of the denominator first by multiplying by it. 3x equals 24. Then I divide by 3, and I get x equals 8. Number 15, solving equations with decimals, combine like terms. Negative 3.2x plus 4.2x equals 1x, which is x, plus 12 equals 16. Minus 12 from both sides, x equals 4. Pretty straightforward. Number 16. The two triangles are similar. Right away, similar. You should be thinking that they have the same angles and that they are proportional to sides. We did a question like this in class, which is not true. So angle Z is 60. No, that is true. So we don't have to look at that. BC over YZ equals BA over YX. Let's see if BC correctly matches up with YZ. Here's BC, here's YZ. Those correctly match up or correspond. So I'll put a little check mark. BA and YX. Here's BA, here's YX. Those look like they correspond, so that's good. So this is also correct. You can solve that out. BC over YZ, we already know that works. BA over X. Here's BA, here's XZ. This is wrong, they don't correspond, so that's the answer we're looking for. Number 17, an equation is shown below, which value of y makes the equation true. In other words, solve the equation. So 9 over 2y plus 3 equals distributive property, 3y plus 13.5. Then minus 3y from both sides. 9 over 2 minus 3y is 1.5y plus 3 equals 13.5. Subtract 3 from both sides, so you get 1.5y equals 10.5. And divide both sides by 1.5, y equals 7. Okay, number 18. One angle of a triangle measures 45. A second angle measures 84. What is the measure of the third? Maybe it would be helpful to draw a picture. So one of them is 45, one of them is 84. Find the third, or just you remember that all three of them have to add up to 180. So those two are already 129. 180 minus 129 is 51 degrees. That's the final answer. Number 19, solve the equation. Distribute negative 12x minus 4 plus 6x equals 6x plus 2. Combine like terms. Negative 6x minus 4 equals 6x plus 2. These variables are not the same. One is negative, one is positive. Add 6x to both sides. Negative 4 equals 12x plus 2. Minus 2 from both sides. Negative 6 equals 12x. Divide both sides by 12. X equals negative 1/2. Number 20. What value for the constant k in the equation below will result in an infinite number of solutions? So in order for there to be an infinite number of solutions, both sides of the equation have to be exactly the same. Meaning, this is going to be 12x plus 24. I want this side to be 12x plus 24. So what can I multiply the parentheses by to get to 12x plus 24? Well, I'm at 6x, I'm at 12. It looks like all I'm missing is a 2. So k equals 2 will give me infinitely many solutions. Let's see. This is no longer on the test. You're welcome, everyone who asked about questions like this. So we're just going to skip this. Number 22, another boring question comparing two companies. Company A charges $30 plus $4 per month. That's 30 plus 4M. Company B charges $60 plus $2 per month, so that's 2M. When will they cost the same? Set them equal. Minus 2M from both sides, so 30 plus 2M equals 60. Minus 30 from both sides, 2M equals 30. Divide both sides by 2, M equals 15. Number 23, straightforward solving, it's just decimals and fractions. Combine like terms on the left side, so that's negative 3.1x minus 2.4x is negative 10.5x plus 7 equals 1.5x. Distributive property, be careful because negative sign, minus 6x plus 9. Combine like terms, negative 10.5x plus 7 equals negative 4.5x plus 9. Add 10.5x to both sides. I'm choosing to do that one because that's the smaller one and it'll make my life easier. So 7 equals 6x plus 9. Subtract 9 from both sides, so that's negative 2 equals 6x. Divide both sides by 6. X equals negative 1/3. Number 24 on the test, you're going to get 5 equations, and you have to solve them and tell what the solution is to each. So here's an example of that. 9 plus 5n equals 5n minus 1. Right away, I can just look at it and see that there's going to be no solutions. Since both sides have a positive 5n, but the constants are different, that tells me no solution. But if I did want to solve this, then I need to do minus 5n from both sides. And I get 9 equals negative 1, which tells me that there are no solutions. There's going to be 4 more equations that look exactly like that. Not exactly, but that you have to solve. And if there's one solution, you need to solve for the solution. If there's none or infinitely many, you just have to show your work or how you knew. All right, this is number 21. So that angle question that I crossed off before was replaced by this question. This is a state exam question, so you do need to know how to do this. So it says, in these triangles, side AB is congruent to side TF. Remember that congruent just means equal. So I put those both in blue so you can see what's equal to each other. And side BC, I'll put it in red, is congruent to FG. So you see that those are equal. Create an equation to determine the values of x and y. That really should say equations, because you can't do this with one equation. You need one equation for the first sentence. Side AB is congruent to side TF. and you need an equation for the second sentence. Side BC is congruent to FG. So I'll do one in blue, one in red, so you can keep it straight. So for the blue ones, it looks like 3 times the quantity of 2x plus 5 equals 12x plus 6. Distributive property, 6x plus 15 equals 12x plus 6 minus 6x from both sides. 15 equals 6x plus 6 minus 6 from both sides. 9 equals 6x, divide both sides by 6. X equals 1.5. So that's all you're looking for. Now I have to deal with the red equation once these words start to consider on the page. All right, now we have to do the other side. So if I look at the other sides, it looks like 2y plus 10 equals 2 times 4y, and I think that says minus 4. So 2y plus 10 equals 8y minus 8. Subtract 2y from both sides. 10 equals 6y minus 8. Add 8 to both sides. 18 equals 6y. Divide both sides by 6. Y equals 3. All right, number 23, and yeah, another you're welcome question. So we got rid of this one. So don't worry about that. And I believe that is it. Let's see. Yep, all done. So you're gonna have a few days to watch this video, look at the answers, do the review sheet over and over and over again. I promise you, if you do the review sheet 5 times, you'll do well on the test. If you don't, then you might do poorly on the test. No